We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Okay, Alphas, we are here with the now veteran Tango Alpha Lima host, Ashley Gutermuth. This is show number 2. She's done twice as many as the last time you saw her. Are you feeling more comfortable?
It feels like I'm settling into an old lazy boy, just sinking in as I age.
I think she called me a lazy boy and was inappropriately propositioning me. But I'm gonna.
You read that correct.
Did I say that out loud?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, our cancellation's gonna come.
It's coming.
Oh boy. So we have a really good show today. We didn't get to do our headline topic 1 last time because you were our headline topic 1 last show. And now I'm going to ladies and gentlemen, Ashley Mary Gutermuth is doing our headline topic 1.
Yes, she is. All right, everybody. Do military families need their own Bill of Rights? Military.com. So here's what we got. On the surface, Heba Abdullah, who I know, Heba is awesome. She was the 2022 AFI, which is Armed Forces Insurance Air Force Spouse of the Year. She is living the dream. She's working in her desired career field while living overseas as a military spouse. That's awesome. We all want the overseas tours, right? Because it's like something a little different. It's awesome to be able to experience those different lives. But there's a price for that dream. She pays 40% of her annual salary in taxes to a foreign country because she is married to a United States service member stationed in Germany. She, like many other military spouses, has learned that the laws intended to protect military-connected personnel and families often miss the mark. Military spouses like Abdullah often can't vote in the local communities in which they live, nor are they officially part of the military. And because local, state, federal, and international regulations and laws are written to address the needs of a typical American family, they rarely address the unique circumstances experienced by military families. International agreements rarely consider spouses and families. They're written to protect those who have seats at the table, the United States and the host nations, and their interests. It is not in the best interest of a host nation to open jobs to military spouses, losing taxable income. And it's not in the best interest of the U.S. to renegotiate international status of forces agreements, or SOFAs, to go to bat for us. Yes, this has been an issue. When it comes to things like voting, there was a representative from one of the states. There was a terrible headline, and I watched the video and it just made me cringe to death. I wanted to jump into the sea. This woman was advocating for military spouses to not be able to be able to vote as easily as military counterparts overseas. And her background, it's not that she didn't want them to vote at all. It was just there was a measure that was being implemented that was going to make things a little bit easier. And she said, no, military spouses aren't in foxholes, so they shouldn't be allowed to do this. Well, guess what? If you're in a foxhole right now, you're probably being hazed. Like nobody's in foxholes. None of them are. So they said that was her logistic thing there. They're not in foxholes, so they shouldn't have any accommodations made. Well, they were picked up and moved around the world to try to support the military, to support their family, to keep everything together. So I am all for supporting the military spouses. How do you feel, Jeff Daly?
And a military spouse's Bill of Rights, right?
Well, I feel like it's
a very general. It's a very general question they're asking. I would prefer to see what it actually says before.
Yeah, I mean,
I line up behind those sort of things. But this is bigger. This is another topic that's bigger than it appears at first. If you don't take care of the military family, what's going to happen when that enlisted person is up for reenlistment?
They're out.
They're out. Do you really want your person in a foxhole or whatever to be worried about their military family more than they already are, thinking about them, worrying about their well-being, worried about their emotional state back home because of things that are under our control. No, we need. I think this is something that it's clearly an issue, and it does need to be addressed. I don't know why they were talking about vote. Oh, now I get it. I misread this, and I thought it was silly journalism that people were worried about being able to vote in the foreign country. Like, I live here, therefore give me my citizenry rights of this foreign country to vote in this foreign country's election. But they meant being located physically in a foreign country and voting back in
voting back home. Yeah.
These United States.
Them. Yeah. And it becomes a big issue. There's a lot of things that impact how military spouses are able to work. You go overseas, they're not allowed to work anymore in some cases. And they, they're setting aside years of their careers. There's a 22% military spouse unemployment rate, and people need dual income. So that just takes a huge hit. And especially overseas now, I don't know if you're tracking how high the utilities rates are. And one of the solutions was, hey, here's credit cards with low interest that you can put it down on. So it's rough out there, and I don't think we need to make it any rougher for military families. I'm all about making things easier so people stay in, and so that they encourage those. We're losing those legacy recruits of people that are like, I'm not going to tell my kid to join because my wife or husband can't get a job. We're having trouble affording food. We've got all of these things stacked against us, and it turns into a national security issue. And you will hear me say this over and over again. If you don't support military families, you don't support the military. Shove it if that's your attitude. I know that's not yours, but
it's not mine. So I do not take offense. I've never been a military spouse.
Well, there's still time, you and me. Well,
I
guess I would have to join, and I'm willing.
You're willing to join the military to make this work.
To make this work.
Well, it seems like we need to take a holistic approach to this military family, and we're probably not going to solve those problems today. But what we can talk about is a holistic approach to military readiness for our troops, and we have some guests that are subject matter experts on that. Today we'll be joined by Lieutenant Colonel Sean Donohue and Alex Morrow with the U.S. Army Holistic Health and Fitness Program, also known as the H2F. I wonder if they say hotel to Foxtrot. I don't know.
They should.
I just read the letters. They will talk with us about how their program aims to not only improve personal readiness for soldiers, but also addresses issues with recruitment and veteran healthcare. We'll be back with Lieutenant Colonel Donohue and Alex Morrow right after the break.
If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you and your family may be victims of toxic water poisoning. Cancers, birth defects, deadly illnesses have all been linked to the contaminated water. With passage of the PACT Act, the government is ready to be held accountable. You could be awarded financial compensation for your suffering, but you must act now. Get your free case review. Call True Law at 833-686-4242, 833-686-4242, or visit justicecamp.lejeune.com/TAL. Before seeking any legal representation regarding the Camp Lejeune Justice Act, make sure you speak with a Department Service Officer of the American Legion to better understand your rights.
All right, Alphas, we're going to do something new today. We have two gentlemen here who are going to teach me something that I do not know. To me, fitness was always pain leaving the body and an eventual VA disability rating in the United States Marine Corps, but they have come up with a different way. Please welcome Sean Donohue and Alex Morrow here to talk about H2F. Now, I typically give all Ashleys the first question, but I just have some clarifications. Could you please end the debate on what H2F actually stands for?
Yeah, absolutely. So holistic health and fitness, it's the Army's #1 priority in the human domain right now. So that's the H2F. There's many acronyms out there, but that one's ours.
Okay. And Alex, if you could just say briefly what that means.
Yeah, so it's a huge investment in a little bit more proactive approach to soldier health, performance, fitness kind of stuff. People might be familiar with the kind of interdisciplinary human performance staffs you see in pro sports, or if you've been in the military, you might have heard of some of the programs in the special operations community. This is bringing that kind of thing. So like a really strong team of experts, physical therapy, nutrition, strength and conditioning, all of that to soldiers across the Army.
Outstanding. Now that we have the baseline information, I'm going to pass it on over to my colleague with a similar haircut. Ashley
That's right. I let Jeff cut my hair. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'm excited. Okay, I have a few questions. First of all, Sean, you are a surgeon, right?
Well, okay, so that's my title is surgeon, but I'm a physician assistant by trade. The title surgeon really is an administrative name that goes back, to the Revolutionary War almost. And just denotes someone who has a medical background and advises the commander on medical topics.
So you're cutting up paper, not bodies.
Oh yeah, no, I have a good time. Don't get me wrong. There's a toenail or something that needs to come off. I'm more than happy to do it. But no, yeah,
you're jumping in. Well, one of the things that I read in your bio that really stood out to me was when you went on the military tropical medicine course. Mm-hmm. I find that really interesting. Did you see a lot of really gross things in that course?
You have a great opportunity. You see all those great pictures that are, maybe emblematic of someone who's got some horrible third world disease, but it's really sort of it's interesting when you get out. I had the privilege of going around Africa on a few different tours and being able to see some of those things in person. It's really sort of shocking. It runs the gamut of things that are out there and the bugs that can get after you. So it's really interesting to be able to study. Yep.
Did you feel pretty confident after you went through that you were like, okay, I can handle?
I felt weaponized enough to know where to look in a book and who to call if I really needed some assistance. But yeah, neat opportunity.
Oh man. Jeff, have you had any weird diseases?
We don't want. I can't talk about those things here. I'm still single. So, so Alex, if my question is this, and this is probably going to lead to some follow-ups. As you heard from my intro, I was in the Marine Corps, and they've never changed anything about anything that they do. They're still pumping out VA disability at alarming rates. Are the things that you're doing, do you see them going DoD wide and spreading to all the branches?
I do. And as much as I appreciate a good rivalry, I will first give credit to the Marines. Their force fitness instructor program is doing some pretty cool stuff. They've got that started recently, and I know they have some initiatives tied to that. But yeah, H2F is kind of the Army's piece of a bigger DoD puzzle, and the DoD calls it total force fitness. And I would argue that we're kind of out front on this one. I'm a little biased, but all the services are aware of the challenges that are facing them, not just in terms of physical fitness, but just wellness and health and things like that in general. Trying to get ahead of some societal trends that are creating challenges for us in recruiting and retention and injuries and all of those things. So yes, we hear from the other services all the time. I absolutely see things like H2F spreading to the rest of the DoD for sure.
And then I guess my follow-up to that is, do you see it spreading probably a more basic form, but spreading over to the civilian thing, like presidential fitness thing, because this affects the pool from which you can recruit,
You're getting after the most important thing right there, right? Because habits are established before people arrive in the military, regardless of what service they go into. And there's only so much we can change if somebody's already 18, 19, 20 years old and knows a certain way of eating and a certain way of exercising and things like that. I seriously, firmly hope that we can start to see some of this kind of stuff carrying over. There's some really, really cool case studies on physical education in public schools, the Naperville 0-hour study, tons of stuff out there on programs that have had a tremendous amount of impact, not just on like the activity level and fitness of kids, but once they start to improve activity and fitness, they start to see benefits in their academic performance, in their learning, in their behavior, in all sorts of outcomes. So I really do hope so.
All right, Ashley.
I think that this is all great. I exercise a lot. I've ran every day for almost 8 years. I've never missed a day. It's not obsessive. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. But I've always been interested in like over the top kind of exercising, like that, like doing things repeatedly year after year. One of the people I follow online, he's a Navy SEAL, but he also teaches people how to become to go into the military and things like that. His name's Stu Smith, and he talks about stretching and how his mindset, when he started teaching people how to stretch, it changed how they were able to learn how to do these like Navy SEAL specific combat swim strokes. And it's not that they weren't practicing or they weren't trying, it's their body was physically not flexible enough to make these moves. So I think it's so interesting what you guys are doing, because the people are what we need. I've never understood why, I live on an Air Force base. Okay. If I go to the Army side and I go to eat their food, why is it garbage? And I go to eat on the Air Force side and there's literally steamed fish. And like, we have artisanal pizzas, guys. So things like where we need to, what you put into people and where you, like the way that people are trained, and we need to take care of them and help them to take care of their bodies, because that's all we've got.
Well, before you answer that, please feel free to insert every Air Force joke that comes
Bring
to
it
mind,
on,
because
I got my steamed fish.
Yeah, so Alex, he and I were talking about some of these very topics the other day, and Ashley, you put a lot to unpack in that in your comments there. But it's one of the things that really highlights the importance of this investment in holistic health and fitness. We really are referring to it as a system, because this is something that in and of itself is a large program and an investment in our future. I think when we go back and we look at the efforts that JFK really put into improving society and society's physical well-being, that was not necessarily an indictment against, hey, we need to have a better defense. I think it was a call to arms, so to speak, for a nation to become more fit and more healthy, so that we can have longer, healthier, more enjoyable lives. As time has gone on, it's sort of funny. It's one of those things that every so many years, a group of general officers will will put in an editorial and say, "Oh my gosh, this new generation, they just don't get it. They're not physically fit enough." It's almost a perennial problem, but our perception of that problem shifts over time. I think we definitely find ourselves in a situation today where we are much more willing overall to spend some time on a device. I mean, my iPhone will tell me how long I've spent time on the screen, and my Android tells me that, hey, you spent 45 extra minutes on your device during your sleep hours. And so that can help me, be a little bit smarter to drive some changes. But what you highlight, though, is it really is multifactorial. The reference to Navy SEALs and warm-ups and stretching and things like that. There's certainly a sector of individuals out there that getting into a gym can really be intimidating. And we want to help demystify some of that through integrated programming. On the other side, though, we definitely have a number of folks, and oftentimes I'm guilty of this. When I was at physical therapy last week, I know Jeff can relate to what I'm talking about. The physical therapist was like, hey, remember that your 10-mile workout, your physical therapy warm-ups, those are just as an important part of your physical training as the rest of it. So don't just think that, oh gosh, I went and I knocked out my 10-mile run and you're good to go. There's a lot more that really goes into it, and it requires a personal investment, not just an institutional investment. And then as we continue to round things out, you hit right on the nutritional domain, the amount of work that we're putting in to help inculcate, kids coming off the street. One of the big efforts that we've got pushed that falls right into the holistic health and fitness program is this Future Soldier Prep course. And if you've been watching the news as of late, Military Times in particular, just tons and tons of articles talking about how we're trying to help prepare individuals to join the military. So especially get after those who have the propensity to serve, but need to be, we've got some areas where we can really help them. So by getting folks in the door and teaching them proper movement habits, those kinesthetics are just so important. Proper nutrition habits. I mean, my wife would be more than happy to tell you that, when I came back from basic training, I had discovered vegetables. Apparently those were a thing that I had not known about. But really the quality is a huge portion of that. So we're doing a lot of work on the early side to help kids understand what's so important. And then the Sergeant Major of the Army continues to invest heavily into that nutritional domain and to change how the Department of the Army looks at nutrition and access to good food. I think it's just so cultural, right? When we sit down and we share a good meal and we have conversations, we get to know one another, and that drives more of that esprit de corps and that relationship building between ourselves. And that gets us into some of those non-physical spiritual domains, right? So man, it just runs the gamut.
Wow. Well, we probably won't have maitre d's at all the branches, mess halls like the Air Force does, but I can see how we can definitely do better. So we've covered kind of how this affects the force readiness of people in. We've talked about, I should probably start in the middle, people in. We've talked about before. What about the after? What about those wounded Marines and soldiers and I probably a couple airmen and coasties and probably no Space Force yet. They haven't been around long enough to have veterans yet, I don't think. But because we're in the American Legion, and I'm going to ask you for some free advice. We're working on a big fitness, or actually we call it wellness, plan for our veterans, many of whom are disabled in varying degrees. And we see this as an opportunity for these veterans to give up some of their old habits, whether they're personal ones or old military ones. Because I believe that the 10-mile run, you are done when you're done with that. Although unfortunately I'm done after 2 these days. But what kinds of things can we implement in our American Legion posts all across America that we can do and lead by example, lead by being better? What can we do in 5 seconds? No, I'm just kidding. Go on as long as you like.
I promised to answer your question, but first I got to defend the dining facilities briefly from what Ashley said.
Bring it on, Alex.
I will not necessarily defend lunch and dinner, but there is nothing better than an Army DFAC breakfast after a good workout. That is the one meal we crush consistently.
Here's what I don't understand. I don't think they should limit what they like. If you're a soldier going into the Army DFAC and you're like, I will eat 47 eggs, you should be able to have as many eggs as you want. Like, these are hungry people. Give them that. I don't know why they'll be like, here is the tiniest of scoops, and then you can get back in line when the line is like 4 hours long. So I feel like that's something, like, let people eat, for God's sakes.
We have seen, this is not something we have direct control of necessarily, but we have dietitians in the H2F program, and they have gotten heavily involved in a few locations in kind of modernizing the dining facilities, having meal prep options where they can take it and like freeze it or have it in their fridge or whatever they need to do, all sorts of good stuff. But
yeah, okay, good.
But Jeff did ask a question that I did promise to answer, which was, what can we do for like American Legion members and after they serve. And I think first I'll say, I hope we can change the culture a little bit in terms of how service members view exercise to some degree. Cause Jeff said right up front that like exercise is just pain. Right. And that's something that we do condition people. Like we get people to associate exercise with waking up earlier than they want to, being colder than they want to be, and suffering for an hour or so, and like not necessarily experiencing a ton of benefit from it. It's something they do for the service they're in, right? And when you have those kinds of associations with exercise, you're not terribly likely to be excited to do a ton of exercise when you leave the service. I hear way more frequently than I like transitioning or recently retired service members talking about how happy or how excited they are to get fat and happy. Their words, they say it every time. And I think if we can change the concept to make it something that you really feel like you're getting a benefit from, and that requires some individualization and it requires some intelligent program design and things like that. That's all stuff we're working on. Where I see the huge opportunity for the American Legion, one, I got to shout out the VA's whole health program. They're doing some really cool things with health coaching for veterans and access to various programs. But before we even hit record, we were talking a little bit about the various VSOs that are working in the veteran health, wellness, fitness space. And I know several of them have partnerships with American Legion posts. And I think the community aspect is so huge to changing people's ideas around fitness, adding in that social element, adding in a sense of purpose. If you're the kind of person who's going to lead one of those groups and like have something you're doing for the community, finding those partnerships and getting groups together that can hold each other accountable and make it something fun and social, that's going to go a long way to just making people want to participate in these programs rather than make it feel like a chore.
Yeah.
So probably these posts shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. They can partner with organizations that are already doing it. I know my post, a lot of my members work with, have you heard of MVP, Emerging Vets and Players? A lot of them work with that organization. So alphas out there, lead the way, get your post to partner and get this wellness thing going so that you can enjoy their dues for many extra years. No, it's fascinating how through our entire military career, from before we get in the military to long after we get in the military, that this is such an important concept. Now we've talked about it conceptually, but functionally, what does this mean in the everyday life of a soldier under the umbrella of your H2F program? Like, do they eat special meals? Do they have different PT than the rest of the Army? Like what's going on? Or are you comprehensively affecting the entire Army all at once?
Well, I think there's a couple of yes to both of those. I mean, on one hand, this is coming out in doctrine and we say, hey, look, these are the important things. These are the things that we can drive on a daily basis. And we help units identify how to program their physical fitness training, for example. And we've got some legacy programs that we're pulling along into and under the umbrella of holistic health and fitness and helping get them to a position where they can be more effective. At the same time, across the Army, we are increasing some of our force strength. We're really fortunate to have the ability to field 110 brigades on the active component right now with a variety of staff officers to help out. These are subject matter experts. So we're bringing in athletic trainers and strength and conditioning coaches. We're adding to our bench of occupational and physical therapists and dietitians. And so what we end up having is an expert advised program that allows soldiers to have this individual who's in their footprint, who really gets to integrate with them, understands what their individual personal goals are, what the mission goals are, what their job description goals are, and can help sort of pull that together and help individuals identify a program or develop a program that'll be something that helps them accomplish their mission. And then that just really expands out from there. We're using cognitive enhancement specialists within these units too. For me, I kind of look and go back and think about, okay, so, we get ready for what is the most difficult thing that we're going to have to try and to accomplish on a training rotation somewhere. And I think of executing a breach as a culminating event. And you think about all the events that have to happen backwards with that. Well, let's program against that. That's a long-term training program. We've got the short-term, the mid-term, and we can build our program to accomplish all of those things. We start framing mentally what it takes to get there. Conversely, and this was something that we talked about for decades within the Army, is, especially after, all the years of OIF and OEF, how do we help individuals be better at home as well? What are those typical kind of stressors? Like, there's a reason that so many of us are drawn to be alphas. And that really comes back to the fact that this is a cohort that gets us. We speak similar languages. We're more than willing to make fun of each other on a personal basis, but don't cross us as a group. And so helping folks understand and normalize their particular reactions on things dealing in sectors that make them uncomfortable, whether that's within the family or interactions outside of the installation, are also things that we can utilize our team to help get after. One of the pillars within holistic health and fitness is the spiritual pillar, and the Department of the Defense really recognizes that spirituality is a group of norms that help individuals navigate tough times. And so while in and of itself, it's not necessarily a religious-based concept, what it does heavily recognize is that we have an innate culture, and those positive habits that help us get through are, paramount to our ability to be emotionally resilient. And that directly correlates in our ability to, succeed in those other domains.
Just to underline something Colonel Donohue said there, we already have hundreds of professionals on H2F performance teams across the Army right now. And to kind of make it clear the scale of impact or the caliber of professional we have and things like that, just to list a few of the places we pulled these people from: Denver Broncos, LA Dodgers, Boston Red Sox, Special Operations Command, Gatorade Sports Science Institute. These people are coming from top tier organizations that are focused on taking care of people and helping them perform. And that's really the difference, is that inside your organization, in your brigade, in your battalion, you have access to high caliber professionals with the academic and professional background to help you perform your best.
And I think what's important too is, as Jeff, you've highlighted really with some of those cross interactions that the Legion gets with other organizations like AWG. I mean, we've got opportunities for individuals who are still in service and they're participating in these groups to bring those skills that they're learning on a daily basis with their human performance teams. And man, that's going to cross over into the civilian sector. My personal hope is that if we can continue down this road and really execute this, top tier, is that we, the veterans, can be the driving force of health within the country. We can change the norm and the narratives, and that, I mean, for me, my kids are paying attention. My wife is paying attention to what I'm doing. We're bringing, we're expanding our span of influence through these programs, and it's going to go a long way if we get it right.
That's outstanding. My only criticism is that your top tier has no champion in their sport. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Someone's going to call me out, because that was not a complete list of all of the teams these people come from. So.
Now, as much as my friend Chris Yates here in the Department of California loves the Denver Broncos, they are not champions. I got to shout out Chris Yates. He'll buy me a beer this weekend, which is probably not on your H2F consumption plan.
Hey, everything in moderation.
Everything.
Oh yeah, I gotta remember that part. That's a lot of syllables for a Marine. Adoration. All right.
Well.
I will try to get that. Ashley, got any last words for these
How do you,
learned gentlemen?
these learned gentlemen, how do you feel like it's being received?
I can say from my perspective, the biggest concern I have going forward is that the demand is higher than we can keep up with. The units that have it
Right.
love it, and the units that don't have it see what they're missing out on and want it now. And there's only so fast you can hire people and roll out a program like this. So I think the reception, from my perspective at least, has been fantastic.
That's awesome.
Like, it sounds more like you need a big train the trainers and have a H2F officer in every unit.
Interesting that you say that. One of those things is already happening, and the other one is in future plans as we speak.
That's
I'm
great.
ahead of my time.
You're ahead of your time. It sounds like a great program. I'm so glad that you're taking care of the military, and hopefully it's something that can be replicated everywhere so that everybody's that all they have is their body, right? You only get one of them. So let's take care of them and make sure we're taking care of the future military, current military, and people that are retiring. I'm with you.
Sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
And I'll echo that. I thank you for what's the obvious is the wellness and the whatever, but the other problems that you're solving are equally important. We're not filling our quotas and recruiting for reasons that are beyond the recruiter's control. There just aren't enough people eligible, which is really fascinating to me, that either from a physical standpoint or academic standpoint, which you said I think Alex brought it up, that there's evidence to support that improving one area improves the other. So it's fascinating work on many different levels. It does help each individual, and that is awesome and great, but it also helps the entire service branch and eventually, hopefully, the entire DoD, and eventually, hopefully, to Legionnaires, so that I can increase my dating activity, because it's getting a little squishy. But thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for your work. And I can't wait for our alphas to get all this information from you. And they have so much. I see super producer Holly over here typing away with the resources that you've given us, and hopefully they will take heed, and you guys will be rock stars signing books the next time you come back.
Well, I look forward to staying in touch and continuing to help any way we can.
All right.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. So alphas, when you go on this little break you're about to go on, don't go get the Cheetos. I'm about to throw mine out. Do a little stretch and come back so that we can talk about these learned gentlemen when they're not here, and they will have to wait till the episode airs to see what we had to say about them. Ooh. We're going to do all that with you after the break.
When our nation's veterans came home from serving their country, the American Legion helped them with the GI Bill to get a head start. When they came home from Vietnam, we helped those affected with Agent Orange to get care and compensation. Now, there is a new war raging. Unfortunately, it is being fought in the hearts and minds of those who served. Veteran suicide is the most important issue facing veterans today, and too many are battling it alone. So join us, make the pledge, be the one to help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Woo! I hope you enjoyed your break. I hope it was healthy. I hope it was holistic, and I hope it was fun, so that you will continue to do it into the future. Ashley Gudermuth,
Sir.
what are your thoughts on H2F?
H2F, I love what they're doing. I love that they're thinking about ways to try to improve soldiers' bodies. You know, this is the most prized possession we have, are these people that are willing to do these jobs, and to teach them how to take care of their bodies, which trickles down into their families. I think it's going to be beneficial for the Army overall, and then hopefully trickle into the other services.
I do. I think and it's hard. It's hard. This is difficult for me. It's
Bring it.
difficult for me, coming from the old Eagle Globe and Anchor,
Well,
to think that yoga is going to be part of my PT.
you can do yoga with guns.
Yeah, but I can't imagine breaking a limb doing yoga. So the
if you were
extreme nature of it is of a military PT to me. I mean, in boot camp, I saw a guy fall off an obstacle and probably
No.
broke his back, and I'm like,
Oh God.
that's an obstacle worth mastering so that you don't.
Yeah,
fall and
that
break
is
your
an
back.
obstacle. I don't know what yoga for Marines would be. I think if you can get yourself into a nice enough position, and then they can use you so they shoot underneath you, or if you have to try to shoot your instructor. Is that,
Right.
But they are so flexible that they can just keep
They
moving.
do that Matrix thing.
Yeah. See,
Maybe that's
look
what they're
at
going
that. We
for.
punched it up already.
That's what they're going for.
I'm in. I would do that.
The Matrix, bullets flying over. All right. So I think they're doing the good work. I think paired with our fitness and wellness series, this would go along well with that. I love that, and I want to thank them for being awesome. Just
Thank you.
in addition to what they do, they were both just awesome. And can I say, my brief time in the United States military, my highest ranked commanding officer was the same as the lieutenant colonel there. So I kind of felt like I was in trouble because it's the only time you speak to the colonel is when you're in trouble. You don't just go shoot the poop. See how I
Oh
edited?
God. No. I know this is only my second episode, but we are going to stay away from toilet humor. Jeff Daly. Golly.
Shoot the poop. All right.
Oh no.
I didn't even. All right. You know what? You know what it is. You know what time it is. You've
time
been
is it?
here. You've been here before.
Oh, I'm locked.
And here's what I do that bugged old Ashley. I would blow the smoke away before we even shot. Oh, it bugs Holly because I like to go. We're now ready to enter the. We're now ready to enter the Tango Alpha Lima firing range and get to the rapid fire. Pew 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 pew. And Holly's even doing it off camera. We love it. One day I'm gonna get Jarek to steal that and put it on so she can join us for pew pew. All right, rapid fire number 1. No Barriers Warriors seeks veterans with disabilities for 2023 backcountry expeditions. On February 1, 2023, that deadline's coming up, people. No Barrier Warriors will launch their 2023 program season. No Barriers Warriors programs helps veterans with service-connected disabilities to redefine their identity, purpose, and community as they face past and present challenges. Their programs challenge veterans to critically think about where they are in life, where they want to be, and how to get there. The experience gives them new tools, strategies, and drive to overcome barriers that are holding them back, as well as a new support team that will be with them throughout the program. What do we think? It's all in the wilderness. It's fresh air, fresh ideas.
I like it. I'm interested in it. I think it's neat. There's one thing I've always wanted to do. I run a lot, and there's a thing called the Barkley Marathons, and there's a Netflix special about it. In order to enter it, you have to be invited. So you have to run a lot of like 100 milers, ultra marathons, and then you get invited in, and then the race has started because an old man smokes a cigarette. There's no entrance fee. It's just a license plate. And then it's 100 miles. You have, I believe, 24 hours, and you don't know the path. You have to figure out the path by finding books in the woods. And there's only like 4 people that have finished it. So this reminds me of that, where you're just like, all right, let's go in the woods. Let's see what happens.
Because yours, they give you a manufactured disability of not knowing.
Not knowing where to go. Yeah. And also you're not allowed to have any support team. So it's all you. for those 100 miles.
Well, I think this is infinitely better. They have a built-in support team. And as like the original Mark Seavey said, you put any group of veterans together with something to do, and it instantly becomes therapy. So I hope they find a lot of worthy people to get involved in this, and I hope they do tell them the path. That would be so sad.
It would be sad. No, it'd be exciting. Come on, let's get lost in the woods, Jeff. You and me.
Emulate the Barkley or whatever she called it.
You wouldn't eat me, would you, if we were in the woods alone?
I'm moving on to rapid fire number pew pew 2. Whoa.
We ran out of food. We don't know if we brought enough food. I can outrun you.
For 1 mile. The old Air Force tape test is officially dead. Long live the new tape test. This is military.com. Airmen and Guardians will no longer have to go through the dreaded abdominal tape test, but will have their waist and height measured to keep tabs on their physical health and physique under a new assessment, according to the Department of the Air Force. The Air Force and Space Force's new body composition program, first reported by military.com, will be implemented in April and use the waist to height ratio as a replacement for the old waist measurement portion of the physical assessment. I'm confused. So the waist tape measure
has been replaced by the waist.
The waist
is
tape
being
measure
replaced by
plus another.
Plus-
So they're adding 2 tape measures, but acting as though they're getting rid of 1.
I think that it is, it just goes to tell us how much we all have our act together. I have paced my husband and some other people on their fitness tests. And so I've been a part of seeing, all the taping and all that stuff. And you watch, let's see how much I can suck it in. My God. But, the ratio, okay, super producer Holly writes it's a ratio of waist to height. I think they're just grasping for whatever they can, right? They're like, okay, the BMI thing didn't work out because it didn't make any sense. Now let's look at their shoe size and what they ate for breakfast.
And again, back to that shoe size. You're awful fixated on the shoe size.
First of all, that was off recording. So let's not reference that for consistency's sake. Also, just for everyone else who's listening, my shoe size is a 9.5, which is fairly big. I'm 5'6". So I'm walking around in my boats.
You can't tip her over.
Can't tip me over, much as you might try.
Yeah, the BMI is weird because you see these jacked linebackers in the NFL and they were considered obese.
Yeah, it's not, none of us, we have not followed through with a good program. Also, why is the Space Force taking this on? You are weightless in space.
Right?
Stop.
And your force readiness is going to include almost no hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, until the aliens come, Jeff, and then you're going to be eating those words.
Yeah, but they're coming to us. I think they're gonna be.
You don't
better.
think that if there was a chance, we would go to another planet to fight the aliens? I think we would. We have precedent. We go to other places.
We're gonna preemptively whoop that alien ass. All right.
If they have one, we don't know. We'll have to measure it.
Oh my gosh, can we make an official Space Force? Yeah, we don't know if they have an ass. Can we make a TAL Space Force T-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to whoop that alien ass.
Can't wait. I would wear that.
They're going on sale at convention this year. Probably not. Okay, we're going to rapid fire number pew, pew, pew. That's 3. That's 3 pews. U.S. military enters new era of expanded parental leave by that great journalistic organization, the American Legion, at legion.org. Military parents of newborns are entitled up to 4 times more parental leave, depending on the rules under recently authorized National Defense Authorization Act. Birth parents can now claim a maximum of 18 weeks of non-chargeable leave, 6 more weeks than their previous benefit. Non-birth parents are entitled to 12 weeks, up from 3. The new policy also allows service members to take parental leave in 7-day increments if permitted by their commander. So I was distracted by this whole birth parent versus non-birth parent. I guess
It's like adopted.
Yeah, or if it's a traditional nuclear family, it's if they could have said the mother is the birth parent and the father is the non-birth parent. Or if it's adopted, there are no birth parents, so you're limited to that one. Very military languagey.
Yeah.
What do we think about this time
Well,
off?
I don't know. From what I've been told, babies they come out pretty self-sufficient. So it seems like a lot of time to be given to people. Is the baby going to go get a job? We're going to turn them all into Gerber babies. That's the only working baby I know. And there's only one of them. So maybe I think it's great. I think it's really good to be supporting families. I have a son. I have a stepson that I raised from when he was really little. We had full custody, but he was not a baby when I had him. So I think that's a lot of work. And I'm glad that people are able to take use of this. And I love what they put in there. If the unit, you're allowed to take it incrementally, so you can do like onesie twosie days. But if the commander's like, no, you cannot, if he's being a bit of a whoopsie daisy.
Whoopsie daisy.
I was trying to think of not calling commanders a rude name, and I was like, all right, we're going with whoopsie daisy.
I think we have Ashley's t-shirt.
We have Ashley's t-shirt. Don't be a whoopsie daisy.
Don't be a whoopsie daisy.
It says if they won't let you have it incrementally, you got to allow them to take the full 12 weeks. So it's funny to me that they wrote that in, because they knew that some commanders were going to be whoopsie daisies. And they were like, you know what, we're going to make it so fine. Then you're going to be gone for the whole 12 weeks. And it's good. People should be able to sleep. And, I think it'll be a good program. What do you think?
I do think it's a good program. I struggle with that the military isn't like corporate America. You can't hire a temp.
Right.
And so there's some struggles with that. Not in the Air Force. You guys, so many people, well paid and cross trained.
We're doing great. Thanks.
And basically can do anything. Oh no, I've got that. I'll skip the second half of my lunch break there, so, and just handle that.
So that's when they have their nap time. They would never skip that.
They would never. That's part of their holistic wellness is nap time. But I do think it's great for the child too to have that, to recognize their parent. I think that's a good thing. So
that kid just better come out with skills. That's all I'm asking. You're getting 18 weeks. That kid better come out with skills. He better be able to low crawl, better be able to read. I want to see him in the AFIs.
They better at least be able to man a lemonade stand.
Do it. Yeah. Make some cash, baby. And then
literal baby. And then honestly, 18 years from then, I hope that they are writing down their name at MEPS to sign up because they got those 18 weeks. That's what I want to see. That's what I'm hoping from this program. Ooh,
they'll be like, my parents got 18 weeks of leave when I was a baby. As a result, sign me up to be an infantryman.
Right. Please. All right. Any final thoughts or shout outs? I have none.
Any final thoughts? I just want to tell you that I love you with all my heart, and I wish the best for you and your family and your loved ones and your day, and that I hope that all of your dreams come true.
I know that was not for the alphas.
That was for you.
Just for me. The alpha of alphas.
Mm-hmm.
And then last episode, super producer Holly didn't highlight the last sentence, so be sure to get that in this time.
Oh my God. I will not stand for you abusing super producer Holly. I will stand in the way. You will hit me before you hit her.
So let's get up out of here. You have a family of your own to attend to. We're in different time zones, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know. There's still one more sentence.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I was just going to let them know that we're on different time zones. So while you guys are trying to end your day, I'm about to get lunch hangry. So
That's right. And I'm about 4 tequilas in. So, alphas, don't forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you consume podcasts. Consume them calorie free. Please leave us a review and give us a 5-star rating. If you don't, I will come to your house and give you a stern whoopsie daisy talking to. Leave us a 5-star rating so the world knows how much you love us, which is a lot, but not enough to make it weird, okay? If you have a guest recommendation, go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima and click on the Suggest a Guest link. We want to talk to them. We want to talk to you. I love you. I wish the best for you. Jeff, back to you in the studio.
all right, alphas, you know what to do. You have a mission out there, and before you can get an Alpha Bill of Rights, you need to uphold your Alpha Bill of Responsibility, which is being awesome. And this week's task in being awesome is making sure that you add to the Alpha roster. There are too many betas. There are too many whoopsie daisies, as I just learned today out there. And we cannot have that. We need to saturate them with Alpha awesomeness. So get on out there and do that. And to make sure you have maximum time to get that done, I'm going to go ahead and declare Season 4, Episode 143, Mission Complete.